Hey guys, welcome to the show. We talk about Squid Games on Netflix, and we finally get to review Venom 2. Bryan, if you're still alive after watching that after credit, play the music! Coming to you from 12920 Philadelphia Street, Whittier, California, in the heart of Uptown Whittier, Keeping Up with the Nerds presents issue 67. I am your host, Rene.
And this is Bryan.
And welcome to the show, everyone. I wanted to say Bryan. Like, for some reason.
It's okay. You know what? We're kind of thrown off because we're missing a nerd.
We are one nerdless.
But
here today.
Yes. But here to replace the one nerd is the one normie. The one normie I love, though. Andie, welcome to the show.
Hi, everyone. It's me, Andie, the normie.
So, bit of context, guys. We just got done watching Venom.
Yeah.
Here in Uptown Whittier at the Starlight Cinemas, and all three of us got done watching it, and we thought, why not have Andie on the show?
Yeah, I mean,
you know.
Yeah. Well, it's good because, we've had you before. You and Mandy, actually.
Yes.
For those that don't know, any listeners.
Sorry, babe.
If you're listening,
she's gonna be really mad.
If you guys are new listeners, Andie is my fiance. She was on the show with Mandy, almost February of this year.
Yeah, February of this year.
Yeah, this was before the revamp of Keeping Up with the Nerds. We did a Valentine's Day episode. Mm-hmm. Yeah, wow, that was before Nick.
Yeah,
that was before Nick showed up. Man,
Nick,
dude, this was
Nick
all
first
this
showed
year.
Up. Nick first showed up for it was the Justice League episode.
Dude, that was all this year. The amount of work we've done from
it
then
feels
to
like
now
more than
feels like
2
a year.
years.
Yeah,
it feels like we've been doing this for more than 2 years, but we've only been doing it for a little over a year and a half.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Well, we invited Andie over to this issue because you came over to watch Venom with us. You joined Rene and I because I don't know. It was interesting because you were more excited or talking about it more than I was for like a week.
Well, I was just very interested in what was going to happen because weren't you the one that told me that there was going to be something that was going to connect?
No, that was the rumor.
Oh,
we were speculating.
We were speculating the whole time.
Yeah. So, because the funny thing was, you can bring the mic closer to your face, actually. Oh. Yeah, that's fine.
Well, I'm actually going to turn on the AC. It's getting warm in here.
Go for it. So I lost my train of thought. Basically, Andie, funny thing was Andie constantly for about a week and a half before the movie started, you kept mentioning it to me. He's like, oh, are you really excited to go watch Venom? Do you want to go watch Venom 2 and all this other stuff? And I'm like, sure, I guess. And the only reason why is because we talked about Venom not that long ago. It was around the time that they did the Venom 2 trailer. This was a couple months ago.
Yeah, the trailer
in June
came out very close between the trailer release and the movie release as well too. It's a really close.
This is good,
right? It's Black Cherry.
It's Venom's G Fuel.
Venom G Fuel, everyone.
Yeah. So
I can't drink it or I won't fall asleep.
You're gonna die. So the trailer came out and we talked about it because I've never seen Venom until this year, the first one, and because I was kind of upset. Long story short, I was upset that the first Venom was being advertised as a non-Spider-Man movie. That can't happen.
That was the one thing that they wanted to say straight off the bat was like, this will not have any connection to Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Which that honestly hurt the movie.
It did.
In my opinion.
Yeah, because it lacked the origin story that most old school fans know about. That Venom attaches himself to Spidey before attaching himself to Eddie Brock. Mm-hmm. But this movie ignored all that and just went straight into this is a Venom movie. And overall, I enjoyed it. I thought the first one was good.
I didn't mind it because the way that they did it was pretty interesting. But you could tell that because of Sony and trying to basically separate it from Spider-Man, you watch the movie and it tries really hard to do that.
Yeah.
And that's what, honestly, in my opinion, that's what makes, it started out as a 10, but then when you keep watching it, it just knocks down a little bit for me, in my opinion, to give it at least a good solid 7.
It was like a 6 for me. It was enjoyable, but it wasn't like,
it wasn't great,
all that. Yeah.
But it was still fun to watch. Like, the one thing that makes it good is just Tom Hardy.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Hardy's performance was really good. I like that.
He's a good Eddie Brock.
Yeah.
He killed it as Eddie Brock. And then you just watched Venom today.
I did. Well, actually, because I think you had it on, I think when you were watching it on YouTube TV. Was it YouTube
Yeah, because they have like whatever, it DVRs certain movies because like for whatever reason YouTube TV kind of has this like, oh, we have a deal with FX and all these other things.
Oh, yeah.
So when a movie like showcases itself, you can either DVR it or it DVRs it itself or it's on demand. So it's a cool service.
Yeah, so I remember you had it on and I think you were already halfway through it. And so I was like, oh, what are you watching? So I just went and sat down, and then I just kind of finished the last part of the movie. So then I had been meaning to go and either stream it or watch it or or wherever I could find it.
Yeah.
And yeah. Oh.
No, keep going.
No, you're good.
Sorry.
You're good. You're just adjusting.
Go for it. Ignore me.
Okay. So that's why I enjoyed the second half of it. I think it was a little bit more interesting than the beginning part of the first movie. It was a little bit, I don't know. For me, it was
a slow start.
It was a slow start. There was more action towards the end, and there were some of its comedy parts of it. So I think I was just interested to see what this second one was going to be like, because I was like, okay, I like certain parts of the first one. Now I want to see what's, because you were telling me about Carnage. I was like, okay, this is interesting. So I don't know. It just sparked a little interest for me to watch it.
So the funny thing is, you said that it was comedic, and Venom has never been comedic.
That's the thing, and I think that's what makes us comic book fans, at least to both Venom and Spider-Man comic books, is that Venom was never like that. He's more brooding and kind of not very vocal.
No, well, he's vocal using the host. He can stimulate certain thought processes. It's interesting. Well, Andie, because you're kind of familiar with certain comic book stuff. You didn't read the books, but you know something about it.
Yeah.
So it's always interesting to see kind of, I don't want to say a normie perspective, but someone that's not.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're not
more
wrong.
casual audience.
Yeah, a casual, because you're essentially watching this as a casual person.
Yeah.
I can understand and respect where the source material is coming from.
Also, I did also like the personalities of the symbiotes. I thought they were cute.
That's not the point.
I like how
not cute. I thought it was.
Oh, look at Ryan. He's so cute.
All the murdering people.
They want brains. That's so cute.
I think maybe cute is not the right word, but for the lack of
Charming.
a better term, charming.
Charming.
Yeah,
I think that's what you mean.
And just the way that they just think, very not.
They're very forward.
They're very forward. I think of Drax. From
yes, no filter.
Yeah.
What is it? Metaphors go over their heads.
Yep.
Yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense.
So I think that's why, and that was another reason. I'm like, okay, I really like Venom.
Yeah.
Well, the cinematic version. I don't know what he's like in the comics.
So in the comics, to kind of just summarize it, Venom brings out certain traits, personality traits of the people or the hosts essentially. So when he was attached to Peter Parker, Peter was influenced by Venom in a way that was more aggressive, which you saw in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3.
Yes.
If you recall.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He was more liberating, he was more free, but he was also very much more aggressive and willing to lose things. What's the comic book that's out right now? Web of Shadows?
For
the
What If story? Yeah, it's a Web of... No, Spider Shadows.
Web of... Is it Spider Shadows?
Spider Shadow, yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, it's Spider-Man Spider Shadow.
Okay. So that comic book arc is a what if Spidey did keep the Venom symbiote instead of giving it up the way he did. If you're familiar with it, they actually did it in this movie. The bell ringing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
That is another thing.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that
That's
stuff.
right.
So it rings the bell, and that's how he detaches himself from Spider-Man, because he realizes, sound is what hurts him, and he's able to get away with it after realizing that Venom has influenced him in a negative way. So a good quality that I feel like the Venom movie did, the first one, is instead of bringing out the worst in Eddie Brock, because that's not necessarily what kind of happened, there was that quality between the two characters that they talked amongst one another, because we saw that once he did leave Spider-Man. He influenced them in a way that was more like, oh, you want to do this and you want to do that. I understand your pain, so I'm going to help you out with all this other stuff. Like, they were able to communicate, whereas Spider-Man and the symbiote were more along the lines of Peter Parker was just being an asshole to be an asshole because the symbiote brought that aspect out of him. And that's kind of how he behaves himself in the books. So they did a good job in the first one in kind of bringing out the two.
Yeah.
And representing Venom in that sort of way and making Eddie Brock the way they did. The casting for the first one was really great. You said, Tom Hardy was a strong aspect of it.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, he was the reason why I enjoyed.
And I kind of forget that Tom Hardy's a really great actor when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, he is. His range can reach a lot. He can play like the strong brooding type, but then also be like the dick in movies as well too.
Yeah. He does that good. He does that part really, really well. In terms of, your thoughts on the first one, you said you enjoyed it more for the action and the comedy than anything else. But did you actually like enjoy it, or were you just kind of like, oh, it was an okay movie?
It was an okay movie. It's not something that I'd probably put back. Like, if it's on, maybe I'll watch it. It was okay.
Okay.
It didn't really, it's not, I mean, compared to, maybe because in my head I'm comparing it to other superhero movies, and I feel like I've seen better. That sounds mean, but
no,
it's true.
It's true. It's a Sony movie. That's kind of what Sony does.
Sony, I mean, they don't have a lot of movies under their belts.
Someone out there is going to be like, what about Into the Spider-Verse? Well, the Spider-Verse was pretty good.
That
was
that
animated.
One was pretty good.
Yeah, the animation department for Sony just kills it. Like Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs.
Have they done any other superhero movies besides Spider-Man?
Doesn't Sony own Spawn? Or doesn't Spawn
That's
own...
Fox. Well, that's New Line Cinema, which I think Sony technically owns, or either Fox owns now.
Sony's biggest acquisition is Spider-Man.
Yeah,
that's their kind of like, that's kind of like what they're mainly known for having. So they're gonna do whatever they can.
Multiple versions.
Yeah, it's either one of the two. It's either you're gonna read. Maybe you're just gonna keep putting in, a bunch of rebooted Batman movies or a bunch of rebooted Spider-Man movies. It's one or the other.
I think it'll maybe pay off.
Probably.
We'll find out.
So Venom 2 released today.
Did you want to talk about that or Squid Games first?
Well, we're already talking about Venom, so we can't
go back now.
We're in this too deep,
guys. Venom 2.
Yeah.
Now, before we move on, guys, this is your spoiler warning because this is heavy. I'm going to tell you guys right now. I almost died. I almost passed out.
Yeah.
I almost passed out.
So this was Bryan's mood throughout the movie. It was like, okay. And then at the end, he's all... And then after credits...
Yup. 100%.
So that was Bryan's mood through the whole thing.
Oh my god, dude. All right, so spoiler warning. Go ahead and pause the podcast if you don't want to get this movie spoiled.
Yeah.
I
was actually asking my customers today. I was like, "Are you gonna catch Venom this weekend?" And a lot of them are like, "Nah," or "I'm gonna wait till next week." That's gonna be hard.
That's gonna be a hard week.
Knowing because they're like, "Aren't you gonna hold off?" I'm like, you know what? Because I do a podcast and I work at a comic book store. I have to see this.
Yeah.
I have to see movies like this the night of.
Yeah.
Spoiler warning. There's no going back now, folks.
Already, I mean, that's the thing too, is that YouTube was already kind of... I told you. So I will... Okay, we'll talk about it later in the podcast, what the title was. But the title of a YouTube video preemptly spoiled the movie, after credits at least.
So I was trying my damn hardest to not get this spoiled because, look, my heart told me there was something that was going on. And the only reason why...
A spark of hope.
There's not even a spark of hope. It was like my heart and my balls were working at the same time. Like they were like working in cohesion. And the only reason why is because Venom released a poster with Venom going like this with the
no spoilers. And Carnage 2 was like this. Yeah.
And so I'm like, why would you say that? Like, I get it. Okay, like you either you're putting everything on, you're placing all your savings into this one number and betting high on this, or you're betting high on this, and it's just kind of like an anticipation, like, yes, this is a much better movie than the first
And
one. It doesn't land.
And that's the thing. If you watch this movie and then left after the after credits,
You missed out.
I mean, before the after credits, like you just left as soon as the credits end or rolling, and you're like, okay, well, there's not really much to spoil. You honestly think about it. There's nothing to really spoil about this movie.
No.
Until you watch the after credits scene.
So I made it throughout like the entire week, no spoilers. And friend of the show, Adam.
Yeah.
And I think it was Adam. And I don't know if it was Miguel, but from Our Real Addictions, we had him a couple issues ago. He went to an early screening for this on Monday. He did. So he kept sharing like, don't spoil.
Don't spoil
it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, cool. He did a good job. He didn't say
really
nothing.
And he knows how much of a Spider-Man fan you are too.
So for our listeners, go check out Our Real Addiction, REEL, Our Real Addiction. They have a great podcast. I was actually on there this week as a guest for their podcast. So go check them out. Go show them some love. Go show some support. We were talking about Venom actually, and like what it could bring up. Funny enough, I was basically saying, like, if you're really building up the hype for this movie and you're trying to do something with, what's going on right now,
what's happening,
you got to sell it.
Yeah.
You got to sell it. So, there were, like I said, my heart and my balls were working together. I felt something because
Andie's face. She's all.
I felt something.
You know what's funny though? I didn't really see that much advertisement for Venom.
Not online, but they were doing their own form of advertising.
So they release a lot of clips, but also trailers, like little, like, ad trailers for like commercials.
I'd see.
And it'd be recycled. Honestly, there wouldn't be a lot. It would basically see certain scenes from like the church fight, and then like from the beginning as well too, and then also when Cletus breaks out of prison. Those are like the only 3 major scenes that they would recycle a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
I think to the point where it was just kind of like, I've already
one of the
seen
official clips was when Carnage came out.
Yeah,
that was like one of the other things that
I did unfortunately watch that because I just wanted to see how Carnage was gonna look.
Nope.
Because that was the scariest. Because honestly, that's why I like this movie more than the first one, because I don't like how Riot was animated, because he was dark in certain scenes, but then when he's fighting against Venom on the rocket ship, he's silver looking.
He's metallic.
Yeah.
You know what? I will say before we move on, because before we actually talk about the big parts of it, the Venom movie, the first one, did a really good job with its action sequences.
It did. It was actually pretty clever of what they did and what they knew what the symbiotes were capable of.
Exactly. And, Riot looked like Riot. As much as you want to say that you didn't like certain things, Riot technically did look like Riot.
He liked that. Yeah, he looked how he was supposed to look.
And then Venom is that brute Hulk-looking guy, small hip, kind of like smaller legs, but big buff shoulders and stuff like that. The only thing he was missing was the spider emblem.
Yeah.
And Carnage here, I didn't watch that official clip. I did not want to watch it because I'm like, I want to see how he animate, like how they animate him, because I'm not a fan of Carnage. I feel like people that say that Carnage is their favorite symbiote,
it's like the same. It's like the same thing as when someone says their favorite comic book character is Joker,
or they want a Joker Harley Quinn relationship. Like you're psychotic. Well, that's the thing, because you were surprised. There were scenes where you're just like, nope, not gonna watch this.
A lot of scenes where I turned away.
That's the thing, is that unless you know how brutal Cletus
Cassidy, he is a legit like serial killer.
Yeah, you did warn me.
I did. I was like, this guy is like not there. Like this guy will kill to kill, just to kill, just to do it.
He could have been a little bit more
psychotic.
Yeah.
I feel
like I've seen more, because I do like psychological like thrillers. I think it could have been a little bit.
So they did lighten them up with the whole romance thing.
They did.
That's what the thing was.
Yeah.
They lightened them up with a bit with when it came to that character with Francis.
Because he wanted to be loved. That's all true. He was abused as a child. He went through like traumatic things. He did kill his grandmother. He did kill his parents. That's what he wanted. He was bloodthirsty. This guy's like insane. So for me, I didn't want to spoil any aspect of it. I did not watch a single thing. I made it until Friday. Until today. We were recording some things and everything, and we're working on some special projects, by the way, so keep your eyes peeled for October. We were working on some stuff, and I had to call you because I'm like, oh shoot, I didn't bring my other battery pack. And I see an Instagram notification from you, and spoiler, we can't go back after this, okay guys? This is your last warning. Pause the podcast and come back once you watch this movie. So I check my Instagram, And sure enough, you say something about Tom Holland.
Yep.
Because he shared it. And I was
what a
so mad at you because I'm like, this.
Yeah, he got it, and then he was like, why would she show me this? Like, he was here, and he goes like, he was about to show it to me. He goes, I don't know, man, because I don't want you to confirm it or not. You know, I was like, I looked at it, and I was just like, oh, he's probably just gonna go see the movie. You know?
No, but then I went on this whole rant where I'm like, I'm gonna bleep myself out of this, but I'm like, this fucker, man, like this guy always ruins everything because like he can't keep his goddamn mouth shut. Like, you know, Tom Holland can't do that. He has a record of being an idiot. I love Tom Holland. No, Tom Holland, listen, I love you. I love him. I adore. He is by far my favorite Spider-Man. He is. You know, then it's, you know, Tobey Maguire. And then Andrew Garfield. Andrew Garfield. But I love Andrew Garfield. He was cool. But you know, there's certain things that I just can't. I can't.
Okay.
But
we all know.
But Tom Holland.
We get it.
But Tom Holland. But I'm like, why would you send me that? And I was telling Rene, I'm like, you know, I know for a fact that this goddamn idiot is gonna spoil. Like, he said something because he's gonna be in the movie, and even though he might not be, like, still this idiot's teasing.
But what did he say? I forget.
So he said, can't wait to finally see this movie. Gonna see it tonight. Are the rumors true?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, you
But let's be
you asshole.
Let's be real. Those people that were saying, I don't know if I'll watch it. If they saw Tom Holland's like post, then
they're not fans, and I don't want them at the theater. I don't want you all there. All right? Because so I didn't show. I left it there. I didn't want to show you, but you ended up watching it. You ended up seeing. So you knew the end credit. You knew.
I knew what was going to be about. I didn't know the exact detail of how they're going to do it, or
so you were shocked
why they're going to do it. I was shocked of how they. You saw my reaction to it.
Oh, I didn't. No, Rene. I saw nothing but a tunnel.
Yeah, he didn't even notice us because he was sitting between us. He was like,
so what I saw. So I will say it now. What I saw on YouTube, it was the channel Looper.
Yes,
and they said how Venom, Let There Be Carnage will be connected to the MCU.
Oh.
And so that's the title of the video.
Well, they're idiots. What the hell? Why would you?
This was like in the mid-afternoon as well.
They're idiots.
Yeah.
That's kind of a messed up thing to do.
That's the thing. Like, I was like, wow. It didn't even like have a question mark.
You should look at the comment section there.
Oh, you know what? I'll do that right now.
Yeah, because that's a stupid thing to do.
Yeah, that is.
Like, that's kind of an asshole thing to do.
It is.
Ruins the surprise.
It's that's so dumb. But going back to the whole thing, going back to the whole spoiler thing. So I kind of had a feeling, but I was also like, I don't want to get my hopes up because I went into this movie. I told, because even Nick messaged us before he went on his trip. He's like, Brian's going to freak out while watching Venom 2. And I'm like, Nick, look, you put something in my head.
So I don't see the video anymore.
Oh, cowards!
They deleted it.
Cowards!
Watch it be re-uploaded.
It will
in
be.
A week.
Yeah, they're cowards.
Because the only thing that has like remotely about Marvel at all, it just says every major Marvel symbiote explained. That was it.
They're cowards. Wow.
Yep. Hold on. Let me double check my subscriptions to see if it was just another channel that did it. But
go to your recent.
I also saw Screen Rant had something.
Everyone
similar.
had them. Like IGN did that thing where it's like, explain like the ending and end credits.
Oh no, it was Watch Mojo.
Oh.
Watch Mojo said it. Hold on.
Miss Mojo or
Watch Mojo.
You know what?
It says how Venom Let There Be Carnage connects to the MCU. It's not even a question mark. It just
What's
says,
the comment section like?
So the comments say, let's see. Where are the comments? Stupid YouTube format. Now it's like the comments are like
all the way down.
All the way. Is it all the way down?
Yeah.
Oh really? I have to go through like all the. Okay, here we go. Someone says no. Someone commented about the movie. Spider fans are excited for Spider-Man No Way Home now. There are two possible. Oh no, it's just people kind of like, I can't believe that sequel 97 minutes long.
Oh. Okay.
Oh, see, so this is all people that've seen it.
Nah, they're dumb. Whatever. They're dumb. I'm mad. I'm mad for you for actually watching that. For saying that. So should we talk about the end credit scene?
No.
do you mean no?
You gotta talk
You got
about
me
the
all hyped
movie.
up.
You gotta talk
But you
about
got
the
me
movie.
hyped up,
we
man.
gotta take the steps. We gotta
Yeah.
get to how we
Oh,
got
man,
there.
Because we're
stomach
not here to
hurts.
review end credits. We're here to review
the
the
movie.
movie.
All right, the movie was good. Can we talk about it?
It was okay.
It was all right.
Overall, this movie. Okay, so we talked about how Venom was in the first movie.
Oh.
He was actually. You said you didn't like this movie more than the first one, right?
So it's funny because I know you're technically not allowed to do this because we usually make fun of people that tend to separate movie portions and keep them in a rating system. But there was something about this movie that. So I like the story of this movie more. I liked the characters in the first one more.
Okay.
Because I feel like in the first one, you had a better, more organic kind of like relationship between Eddie and Venom. In this one, it was two buddy cop, and it wasn't stable. Like, they just kept fighting on one another, and Venom isn't necessarily... Like, this is literally, like, months after the first movie, right? This isn't like a couple years afterwards, this is months. And Venom already has this kind of like understanding of how certain things work and how humans interact, and he calls people dicks and all these different things. And it's like, okay, you as a symbiote can be aggressive and be that kind of, asshole, but at the same time, like, you're also not supposed to be this funny because you're not in the comic books. You're not as a character that we all know. It was entertaining, but it wasn't organic. It wasn't the Venom that we knew. In the first one, he was comedic. He was a little bit funny. He was kind of a coward, especially when fighting Riot. And that was funny because it's true. They're like the colored symbiotes, and later on, as they kind of talk about the symbiotes that exist, he does kind of mention how the different colored symbiotes represent like status or like how aggressive they are, so on and so forth.
And that's why he was scared
of Riot. And they mentioned in this movie again, he's like, oh, it's a red symbiote.
Yep.
Yeah, so he does that, and we understand why, because the red symbiotes tend to be more aggressive and more violent. But this one, he was just too comedic. So the characters in the first one was great. The story in this one was good.
Well, I feel like the type of relationship they were playing on was like a married couple because they're literally attached to each other. They can't get away from each other.
Yeah.
And he was hangry. So can you blame him?
Basically, that's.
I mean,
as
that
someone who's in a relationship, I can relate.
That honestly explains Venom. This whole movie.
like
he was hangry.
The whole
He was
time.
hangry.
So what are you saying? Are
I'm
you saying that you're Venom?
Feed your
Are you my
significant
symbiote?
other.
Are you my
Feed
symbiote?
them.
Are you my symbiote? Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, because we're not attached to each other.
Yet.
We can.
You still have to have a wedding for that.
That's true. No, but they literally cannot get away from each other.
Yeah, no.
And even when they did, well, I guess I don't know.
That's actually a good way of putting it, though. That it's a married couple.
It's basically a married couple.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
They are
we mentioned
attached at
buddy
the
cop.
hip. Yeah.
But no, you are right.
Even Dan was like, they need counseling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now that you see it, now that you explain it that way, I can see that. I still don't care for it. It just wasn't that kind of like.
I just felt
it's too comedic.
that was the relationship they were playing on. That was like the comedic trope.
It's a good one because it's entertaining.
Yeah.
I think that was. It was a little bit, not annoying, but it was a little bit. What's the word I'm looking for? Distracting.
Yeah.
It was
It was. Yeah.
It was a little bit distracting because there was that sequence where Eddie talks to his former fiance. I forget her name.
And
And he kept talking over, and I'm like, okay, I'm trying to pay attention between Eddie and Anne, and I can't hear because Venom's just kind of being like,
It's a love triangle.
it is. It's a little bit
It's
weird.
weird.
So I get it, sure, but
Also, Dan, he's such a third wheel or fourth wheel.
fourth wheel, he's just there.
You know what he reminds me of?
Who?
He's a Jerry, like from Rick and Morty. He's just a Jerry. He's just there, and
He's just a
he even
he is
asks
a
like,
Jerry.
"Will there be aliens?" No. Oh, you said
That
there
is a
would be no
Jerry
aliens.
question, honestly.
That's
To
a Jerry
Rick.
character right there.
Are there's gonna be aliens, Rick? And then Beth is
This
talking
is my
to
family, and I got to defend my family.
Yeah. Oh God, he is a Rick. I mean, he is a Jerry.
He's a Jerry. Dan's a Jerry.
This is why it's good to have her, because she can kind of see it from a different perspective, right? It's good. That's good. I wouldn't have thought of that.
But overall, this movie was actually pretty entertaining. The pacing, there was a lot of stuff happening in between. I feel like in the first Venom movie, it's just this long drawn out of like, okay, we need to get Eddie to the science lab so he can get to Venom. And it's just like this weird connection that the writers are just like, we'll go through this, we'll go through that, we'll get to here and stuff like that. And in this one, I was like, okay, no, we already have Venom. Let's just basically get to Carnage now.
So there's a reason for it, and I kind of started to see why. Now that the more we talk about it, the more things are coming to light now. So the one thing that this movie had was a lot of Spider-Man references, like right off the bat. And again, I wasn't anticipating. Like, I was trying to push away all that hope that I had. Like, this is not going to connect to the MCU. This is not going to have a Spider-Man thing. But some of those things were really obvious. So, like, one of the first things that, was kind of mentioned was when Venom was talking to Eddie in his apartment. He said something along the lines of, like, responsibility or for the weak or something like that. And I'm like, okay. Anytime Spider-Man's mentioned and responsibility are mentioned, like, okay, like, it's a weak little Easter egg, but it's kind of there, It's
there,
It's there. Okay, cool. Then Eddie gets a letter from...
The Daily Bugle.
No, from Cletus.
Oh, is it Cletus?
It's Cletus, the postcard.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And as he's writing it, he says, every person has an origin story. And what is on that card? A little spider. And then he kills it. And I'm like, okay, that is, now you're playing with me.
Yeah.
Like, that's too...
Now you're just kind of like dangling in front of it. Do you see this? You see it? Do you like this?
And I'm over here going like I'm like Joey in this case, like
with his
our dog.
Yeah.
It's just like...
Like,
I
yes,
gotta
I
like
want it.
Tempting.
It's so
But
tempting.
I'm not going to go for it.
Not yet.
There was also a little bit of a close resemblance to a famous Spider-Man cover that they did when he wore the symbiote suit, which is him on a ledge of a building, kind of like sitting down with his hand over his knee like that. Venom was kind of sitting like that on top of a tower, and the camera pans to an angle during a thunderstorm. That is a famous comic book cover from Spider-Man again.
Yeah.
It's similar to it, so that's another loose Easter egg. And then how do they kind of separate? Through a bell, through the sound of a bell.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like, okay, it's too many. So, why was this writing easier to consume than the first one?
No, but did you not see the Daily Bugle?
Yes, I saw the Daily Bugle, but didn't they mention the Daily Bugle in the first one as well?
No.
Okay.
No.
I didn't consider it because I'm just like it felt weird.
Because the Daily Bugle's in New York.
Yeah, and now this one's in San Francisco.
Yeah, this is in San Francisco. So the first one never even mentioned Daily Bugle. It was just basically Brock was working for a news station.
So, I gotta stop. I gotta relax my arm. I feel like I'm intense. Like, oh my god, I'm ready for.
Do you need a stress ball or something?
I do. I think I kind of do. But I didn't really pay attention much to the Daily Bugle because, again, like you said, New York to San Francisco, they didn't really... I got it. It is an Easter egg, but it could have just been a weak Easter egg that was just like, oh, yeah, we're only...
No, that's
it's a throwaway kind of thing.
Yeah.
But going back to the point, since there were some references to Spider-Man, this writing was easier to consume because I feel like the writers now had liberty to kind of go in that route. Like, they didn't have to figure out a way to make Venom exist without Spider-Man. Venom now exists as Venom and Eddie, and now we only need to introduce Carnage and Cletus.
Yes.
And that's it. And that's an easier story to tell because we all know Cletus is a serial killer.
Yeah.
He's literally the guy that, like, there's a part where he goes into a convenience store and just smashes a guy's head for no reason.
But to use his laptop.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah.
Like, you just could have knocked him out cold.
Yeah, but that's not him.
No.
Like,
Literally will, like, just kind of just...
Got issues.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Money.
Issues is... That's putting it lightly.
understatement.
That's an understatement. But he's an easier character to write for. And how do you introduce Carnage? He's the spawn of Venom. So there's ways around it. He bit his hand and left some blood, and, because it has some of that symbiote residue in there, Carnage was born. Easy setup. Writers didn't have to worry about
irony.
it. Yeah, there was more liberty to do so. So it was easier to consume. 100% right there. But
so in the comic books, basically, Carnage's origin is basically when Eddie Brock fuses again with in prison, because they're both Eddie Brock and Cletus Cassidy are both in the same cell. When he is back with the symbiote Eddie, he breaks out, but there's a little piece of the symbiote stuck on the wall of the hole, and it drips onto Cletus, and then from there it spawns a new symbiote.
Similar-ish in a way.
Similar-ish in a way. I think it's because it's easier to have him like taste his blood and then just reacted to Cletus.
Yeah.
It as a more movie cinematic kind of way, and to also casual audiences, because everyone in the theater kind of just went with it.
Yeah.
They didn't question it. I didn't hear anyone.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Well, Venom is the funny thing is that Venom started as kind of like a side arc in the comic books. He wasn't supposed to be as big as he is now.
Yeah, he became a fan favorite essentially.
Like literally. And he's been constantly in comic books now more than ever. He's been like, he has like,
he went from villain
two
to
different
now
arcs?
anti-hero. Yeah.
The funny thing is, there's a little Easter egg. The Lethal Protector is one of his nicknames.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why he kept saying it. And so I was looking at Rene, I'm like, it's like a cool little clever thing.
Yeah.
I kept mentioning the Lethal Protector. But there was more liberty.
Yeah.
Now, I will say, you said that this movie felt like very quick and straightforward to the point. If it would have gone any longer, this movie would have suffered.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. I think it was an hour and a half.
Hour and a half.
Yeah.
I think Andy Serkis understood that this is a fun movie. It's not supposed to be an Academy Award-winning movie.
Oh, no.
It's like you sit down, you grab your popcorn, you enjoy the violence, you enjoy the action. That's all it is. That's all this movie is about. Just as a casual viewer, you enjoy it. So, did you like this movie?
It was okay.
It was okay.
Now, how did you like it compared to the first one?
Compared to the first one?
Mm-hmm.
I think it is better just because I feel like there's a little bit more meat to it. There's more elements going on in the story because you're looking at Venom and what's his name?
Carnage?
No.
Eddie?
Their relationship, and then Carnage, and then that other side story with oh my god, I'm so bad with names.
Cletus?
Yeah, Cletus and
Cletus and Carnage.
interest.
She just got done watching the movie.
Yeah,
so I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
There's too many names.
There's a lot of people's names.
Again, there is like more things going on, whereas the first one, it was just kind of like, okay, we're finding out that these like symbiotes were being brought from like a mission, and this guy is just like harming people. And like, okay, whatever,
Oh, wow.
you know.
This movie, I'm looking up at Rotten Tomatoes right now, but this movie's an hour and 26 minutes.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel
it's
like
short.
that.
No.
It doesn't feel that.
But
to me,
that's what
it didn't
makes
feel
it
that
good.
short. Yeah.
No, but it makes it a good movie.
No,
It
it's a good
does.
movie.
Because it's just, you sit down, you get to the point. And I think that, one of the issues, we talked about this, Fast 9. Fast 9 was a long movie.
It was.
It was long, it dragged itself out, and it just did not feel like a movie that you can just sit down and enjoy. You actually had to kind of like go like, okay, well, this and that, and put pieces together. It was just telling too much of a story. This one was like, here's a story, here's the point, here are the characters, get it done.
Yeah.
Basically.
That's it. You want action? Done. You want comedy? Done. You want carnage? Here you go.
Yeah.
That's all it
and
was.
it didn't feel overwhelming either.
No.
Yeah.
It knew what it was.
Oh, wow. So, first Venom movie is an hour and 52 minutes.
What?
That's
okay,
why.
well that's why. Yeah, it
Dang.
does drag a little long for
And that
what
one,
it is.
that one did worse as of critics, like professional critic wise. It got 30%, while it got an audience score of 81%. But Venom: Let There Be Carnage has a 60% with actual critics, but a audience score of 86%.
Yeah, people, because this is the thing, is that the Venom series is just a fun series.
Yeah.
It's just trying to be fun. Like, again.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I could see that from their relationship.
Yeah,
When
it's-
they were towards the end.
Look.
What the heck? Why are they? I mean, I don't know if we're there yet, but I don't know. It's really random.
Comic
it's
book
really weird.
superhero movies should be fun to watch.
Yeah.
You want to make it unique in your own, fine. But if you're trying to just make a fun movie, Andy Serkis, the director, he did okay. He did fine.
He did a good job.
Yeah.
This was his his third movie, because he directed a Jungle Book movie. I know that.
The Mowgli one?
Yeah.
Oh, I
the
didn't
Mowgli.
know.
Yeah, he wrote. So this is not his first time directing. Hold on, let me see.
What did he? Yeah, look at what he directed. But yeah, no, this is a fun movie. That's why, like, both movies are not terrible.
They're not terrible. That's again, it wouldn't be a movie that if it's not a movie that I would go out of my way and be like, oh, I feel like watching Venom today. Like, it's like if it's on, I'll watch it because it's like, okay, I already know the story. Like, I enjoy watching it, but it's not. I mean, and maybe it's because I keep comparing it, but it's an enjoyable movie. It's a fun movie.
Yeah.
I think this one, again, I honestly, my personal opinion, I like this one better than the first one.
Okay.
Yeah. So he directed Mowgli: The Legend of the Jungle, which came out in 2018. He did a TV movie called The Ruins of Empires, and then he did, I guess, another movie called Breathe. And then he directed the dramatic director. He's credited as a dramatic director for Heavenly Sword, the video game. So this is his third or second film.
This is
Venom.
This is technically his third.
Third film.
Supposed blockbuster.
Yeah, and then he's been a producer. He was a producer for, not a lot actually. He did The Ritual, that's on Netflix. That's a horror movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then that's pretty much it as of like well-known stuff. Oh, he did Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll. He was executive producer on that one.
Oh, is that weird the show or whatever that was on Netflix?
No, let me see. I think that's
I know what you're.
this movie came out a while ago. This movie came out.
I feel like that sounded familiar the moment you said it. Regardless of it, this movie's fun.
Yeah.
Overall, it's good. Now, if we're gonna start dissecting this movie, like kind of biting off bits and pieces of like what we saw here and there was, in theory, a mutant in Shriek.
Yes, Shriek is technically. I have it right here. She is technically a mutant.
What's her name in the comics?
It's Shriek.
Well, her alias. Her actual alias.
Oh, it's it's Frances Barson.
So they use the mutant here.
They essentially use the mutant,
but they didn't say mutant.
She is mostly a Spider-Man character. She has mutant powers, but she is not featured in X-Men. She is mostly featured.
But she is technically
because she does have a connection with symbiote with Carnage.
With Carnage, right?
Yeah, she does have a connection. It doesn't say if it's a, it's a close relationship. It doesn't say it's a romantic relationship, but they do have a close relationship.
Which is funny enough because the symbiotes are, they stay away from like high pitched sounds and stuff like that. But so she is a mutant, but they didn't technically say she was a mutant.
No,
but we kind of knew.
They said like there's something with her, like her body was changing. Because you missed in the beginning. In the beginning, they're both Cletus and her are in a like psych ward for like younger adults and stuff like that. And because she is a mutant, they were transferring her to a different facility, which was Ravencroft and stuff.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, that's the prison where all the supervillains go for Spider-Man.
That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ravencroft.
More.
So that's another little thing.
Mm-hmm.
There was something that was mentioned. It was right after Carnage breaks out Shriek. One of the prisoners says something. It says a name.
Oh, I
with
forgot.
an S.
I have to see that again. I have to look that up. But yeah.
What was it? If you remember.
I don't remember.
Started with an S. It was like something.
What part was this?
It was when Carnage breaks out. When the FBI agent goes and sees the remains. There's a prisoner that says a name, and that name sounded really familiar to me. I don't know if maybe it could be related to another mutant thing, or it might just be another character. But he says like, "Oh, there's monsters." Point being, they did use a mutant technically in Shriek, and towards the end of the movie, when she does kill, because the entire story of her is that she is a lover of she's a lover of Cletus, and Cletus wants to free her from her prison. They do so. They're about to get married, and the gifts that they exchange one another is Cletus brings the cop that shot her in the eye. So she proceeds to kill him in that whole action sequence.
Yeah.
So we thought that he was dead. But then what ends up happening at the end of the movie is that the FBI agent is shown again with his eyes glowing blue. So he's not dead. There's something there. But he never connected himself with the symbiote, at least not from what we saw.
No.
He never really showed anything to kind of seem like that he would even be in contact with any labs or anything like that that might have altered him. Mm-hmm. My theory is he's also a mutant. But that doesn't make any sense because Sony doesn't own X-Men. That's Fox's thing. Yeah. And Fox was bought by Disney.
Right.
I just forget his name. That's the only thing.
Mm-hmm.
What are you looking up?
Oh, so the inmate was named Siegfried.
Siegfried!
But
there's
it
nothing there.
Says he is featured he was like a Nazi soldier out to destroy Nick Fury's Howling Commandos, a human alter ego of Thor, and not much else. It says.
It's just like a throw.
It was just a character, I guess.
Now, what's the FBI agent's name in this movie?
Oh, you mean the detective?
The detective.
So I found out Patrick Mulligan. That's the guy that had the ear, right? He was deaf. He was the one that shot Toxin, or that not Toxin. Shriek. He is actually Toxin, the symbiote. It's Toxin.
Oh, what?
But when would he be in contact with the symbiote? That
he was in contact with symbiote with Carnage.
When he was attached to him?
When it was attached to him, yeah. So he is, because Toxin is a descendant of Carnage.
What?
Oh.
So he is both not a villain, but not a hero as well, too.
He's like anti-Venom.
That's why he says monsters and stuff like that. So he's kind of like in between. He can be bad, but then he can be good at the same time and stuff. So if they do a sequel, Toxin will be the next character.
The next person that's out there.
Yeah. So they have another symbiote ready, just in case.
Because that was the thing, is that the movie ends with Carnage killing Cletus and eating Carnage, or excuse me, Venom eating Cletus and then eating Carnage. Yeah. There's so many characters that I'm just like, I'm getting confused. Now I'm getting confused. But yeah, Venom eats Cletus, then he eats Carnage. The other way around as well. Yeah. Whatever. And so I was upset at that.
Yes, you legitly changed like positions. You went from like looking forward, and then when Venom ate the symbiote and then ate Cletus's head, you're all.
I just leaned back. Everyone in the theater was like, "Woo! Yeah!" And I'm just like,
I personally didn't mind when that happened because I was like, "Yeah, there's not much more to do after Carnage first appears in this movie."
But you can't kill a major symbiote that way. That's my problem. Like we were talking about this after the movie ended, was that Carnage has died multiple times, but he's always been brought back.
How?
It's either through some demonic force or, he just recovers. There was a point where Cletus was dead, but Carnage was still alive. He was just kind of using the body to live there. Yeah. Like one of the most famous deaths.
We saw him being eaten up.
Exactly. So they literally, no character's going to die, but this is a movie. We know that movie characters, if they're dead, they're dead. Yeah. It's contract reasons, You really think that they're going to bring Woody Harrelson again for like a third or fourth Venom movie? No. They probably won't. So they have to kill him off. But it just felt wrong because one of the most famous deaths is when Scarlet Spider, who's Kane, kills Cletus by lobotomizing him. He like sticks a needle through the nose and goes. Yeah.
But I don't think we would have to get to a long road to get to Kane.
Imagine Scarlet Spider. Ben Reilly Scarlet Spider though.
That's the thing.
I don't want that.
Because we have to go through, like you said, Ben Reilly, and we have to go through the Clone Saga
with Jackal, and
to get to there,
they kill Peter Parker, and then Ben Reilly's like, I'm the new Spider-Man. Yeah, but I no longer will be Scarlet Spider. I will be Spider-Man.
On a whiteboard, just like. So it starts here, and then it goes down here, and then we go to this story plot.
It's not worth it.
And then
yeah, see, that's the thing. Killing off Carnage the way that he did, cinematically,
makes sense.
Story-wise, makes sense.
It's just a disappointing thing. Because that's the thing is, Carnage is always a threat. He's always been a threat.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I would love to see Carnage take on Spider-Man in a movie. That would have been freaking cool. But
or all the symbiotes. Yeah. The symbiote war or something like that. Yeah. That would be cool.
Or seeing all the symbiotes come together. That happens as well too. Yeah. All the symbiotes come together to one host.
There's a lot of symbiotes. You have Carnage, you have Riot, you have Venom, you have Anti-Venom, you have Toxin, you have Scream.
You have Lasher.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
There's so many. There's so many cool ones.
And they're in different colors?
Yes.
Wow, Power Rangers.
Basically. I mean, honestly, that was like the easiest way to make more symbiotes was just give them another color scheme. Yeah. Like
Everyone's a spawn
comic-wise.
of everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone has babies, you know? That's just the story of the symbiotes at this point. But they killed him off, and I was just a little bit disappointed because Carnage was cool. Woody Harrelson was a great Cletus. He was so good.
I feel like he could have been more like psychotic.
Well, you can't show that without making it rated R.
It's a
I
PG-13
know.
movie.
Yeah.
But I know he can.
Yeah, Woody Harrelson
Yeah.
could have done a little more. He could have like made
Done
this a lot worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he
That'd
played
been
a
cool.
very controlled Cletus, which is okay. We still got the violence. We still got the
We did.
weird, you know, like I'm delusional, so I'm gonna do poems and speak in rhymes and stuff, which was cool. I enjoyed that. It wasn't bad. Just didn't like the fact that he died. And Carnage, again, I'm gonna say it. He looks sick. This design was pretty cool.
Yeah, I liked it too. Overall, this movie was pretty good. I like this one a little bit more than the first one because it was on point. It moved quickly. Didn't feel like it dragged out. The fight between Venom and Carnage was better than Venom and Riot.
Yeah,
And I liked the ending a little bit more. And
the ending was quick too.
the ending was quick. You know, them just being at the beach, finally kind of
Yeah.
like settling their differences, realizing that they are one. You know.
Aw, and they told each other they love each other. Well, I think
There it
Venom.
goes, that whole
yeah.
married couple thing.
I'm
Yeah.
telling you.
So, with that being said, I think we can finally get to the final portion of our review for Venom 2 is the after credits scene. And the after credits, do you want me to lead
Do you
it
want
up?
a moment?
Do you want a moment?
So she caught me while you were in the restroom before we started recording.
Yeah.
I was like setting everything up, and because I usually get really lost in my thoughts,
Yeah.
so I'm like, you know, bringing up the legs of the tripod to use it for this and stuff like that. I didn't know what I was doing. I just
He
knew that I was
just
putting it
like,
away.
Go
You
ahead.
didn't know what to do with
I didn't
yourself.
know. I was like putting the things away, but in my head I was playing the end credit scene, and Andie starts laughing, and she's like, "Are you thinking about the end credit scene again?" And I'm just like, "Yeah."
Because he had like a
Let's
very
go see the movie
spaced
again and
out-
just watch the end
just
credits.
the end credits. Just
Yeah.
like go to the movie theater. Like, please, I've already seen this movie. Here's my ticket. Like, I just want to see the.
I'll
end
pay
credit scene,
$5 just to
please.
stand there at the end. Like,
So the end credit scene. Oh my god, dude! I almost passed out.
so the end credits. So let's step by step go to the end credit scene while Bryan has his time to realize what he just saw. The end credit scene starts off when I guess obviously Venom and Eddie are in a beach or at some sort of resort. I guess in Mexico. It seems like.
Look, I think it is Mexico
Yeah.
because they were watching a novela.
Yeah,
which
and
is
they were in
typical,
California, so
Yeah.
it makes sense that they would go
Yeah,
just to
just
Mexico.
Down
And
south.
so then they're both watching a novella, and they both and then they're talking about the characters having secrets and stuff.
That was
and
a good way to distract me.
so yeah, it was because it started out weird because we're all watching it and
Yeah.
we're like, why are we watching a novella right now?
It was.
You know? Yeah.
So the thing is, we're going off of the assumption that writers are using the current storytelling versions of the symbiotes, which is that they come from a planet and they're all like a cult essentially. Like they're all like they have some weird like rituals, and it's like this kind of like what is it that they're not like spawns of Satan, but they're
just they're aliens or off of what the movie's going off of.
there's a point where Venom is told that he has the mark of the devil, essentially. And that kind of like brings into this new story perspective that there's like a king like symbiote and some off planet and all this other stuff. Like it's a long story that, we'll probably take up another podcast to kind of talk over. But he okay, I'll let you tell it afterwards. This part. So
yeah, go ahead.
so it distracted me because I don't mind this storytelling iteration of the symbiotes. It's fine. So he starts telling Eddie, I can't tell you everything because your feeble human mind won't comprehend everything that, us symbiotes know. It's just too much information.
Which they also intaked in the middle of the movie where Venom is just looking at everything and he can memorize everything.
Yeah.
And he's like writing everything down for Eddie and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So he's essentially his recording machine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he starts telling him like, well, try, like show me some stuff. And Venom says, all right, but I'm only going to show you a fraction of it. So I thought that the screen shaking
Yeah, it
was
was
his
him.
mind going
So
like,
did
oh, it's too
I.
much.
Yeah.
And it threw me off. I'm like, okay, we're going to learn about like the symbiote planet and stuff. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
doosh explosion.
Yeah, even so. Then after that, Venom's like, "What the hell was that?" You know,
and I'm like, "What do you mean? What do you mean? What the hell is
All
that?"
of us like.
because it started out in like a sunset that they were setting on.
It wasn't a sunset.
Yeah.
It was a nighttime.
Oh, it was nighttime.
And
okay.
then it
There
changes.
was like,
It changed to, like,
wasn't there,
morning.
Like,
Dude, I'm having a
flash?
headache. Oh my god.
It was like done in a flash where it basically it changed from night to I guess essentially the morning now.
To be honest, at that point, I was like, wait, so some like that happened, and I honestly didn't even notice the setting change too, or like the.
No, I knew.
You do okay.
Yeah.
No,
Well, I
at
thought
that
I
point,
was like,
I was like-
wait. So there was like, I wonder, was this the snap? What was this like? Because there was like a flash
Oh,
in the
yeah.
background. That was my thought at that point.
So
but then,
so
go on.
that thing happened.
Yes.
That change of
and
scenery
the
happened.
and the channel changed from a novella to a news station, which we hear J.K. Simmons playing JJ, reporting on what's happening.
So okay. So when you catch me off guard, nothing clicks.
Yeah.
Like my synapses in my brain just
Yeah.
start like dissolving, and I'm like, things are just not making sense.
Yeah.
So I say G.K. Simmons in there, and he's talking. I'm like, so why is Simmons in here? Why are we? Why does he have him in there? Like why? Like
Yeah.
it doesn't make any sense. Like I don't get it. Like why do you have J. Jonah Jameson like we did in Far From Home, and it doesn't make any sense.
Why?
So I'm already
Why is
kind of
this happening?
hyperventilating.
Yeah.
Why is what's going on? I was like hyperventilating a little bit. So at that point, I was already sweating and I was already breathing hard.
Yeah.
I was like, holy crap, this can't be it. That's not gonna happen, right?
So
this is not it.
he continues talking.
So he talks and then
Says the name Spider. No, he says Peter Parker
and
has been revealed to be the infamous criminal Spider-Man. And Eddie and Venom look at the screen, and Venom looks at Peter Parker and licks the screen and says, "That guy," and then just
Let up that face. He's like,
that's literally.
I think everyone in the theater was like,
Everyone was like,
and
Oh,
I was like,
yeah.
Brian was the one
jaws
having like an out of body of experience.
Yep.
I'm
He
not
was
even-
the loudest one there.
I don't know how loud I was. I don't care.
You were the loudest.
You were the loudest one, but everyone was cheering.
Yeah, everyone was
everyone
with
was
you.
kind of just reacting how you get normal news like that. It's
Like,
just kind of like,
whoa.
whoa, that's cool, awesome. Brian's like,
Yeah, like having a moment.
Dude, I feel lightheaded.
Oh my god.
I just
That is the most the most reaction that I've seen because I'm used to them. I'm used to them.
Okay, because I wasn't there when he saw Endgame. Did he ever reacted like that towards the end of Endgame at the final fight, like Captain
was
America
like-
picking up his the hammer?
Yes, that part.
Okay.
He was like,
And then seeing like Spider-Man come back and everyone,
oh, he started bawling.
but never reacting to how he did
No,
tonight.
not like that. Not like that.
dude, I swear, I almost passed out.
I know you were.
I'm very scared for December.
Oh my
Oh
god!
my god,
You're gonna
watch
not
it?
handle No Way Home then.
I probably won't. I think
So-
that's my end game.
So basically, what I told. So after we saw that, I looked at Brian and I go, "This basically confirms how we're gonna get other villains in No Way Home." And he looked at me like, like, because you're so just blocked minded that they connected Venom with Spider-Man that you didn't realize that they're gonna do that with other, the Sam Raimi villains and the Garfield villains as well too. That's basically how they basically showed how they show up in the universe.
This is why I didn't want spoilers. This is why Tom Holland needs to shut the hell up.
Yeah, but
Someone
you still
take
got
away
the
his
same.
phone,
Okay,
his
look.
Instagram.
All right. Warning to all you guys: don't follow Tom Holland.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Look,
unfollow.
I'm just gonna mute your ass. I'm gonna mute your ass come December, because you better
my
shut.
God.
That dude needs to shut up.
That's gonna be bad.
He needs to
Yeah.
keep quiet.
They need to
Because
lock
I'm like,
him up.
He can't do interviews. He can't do interviews when it comes to December.
why the hell would he?
Yeah,
If
so
the
it was-
rumors aren't true.
So
The rumors were true.
it
Yeah.
was really cool when like right before the movie. It's like a week before the movie comes out. He's like, "Oh yeah, it was really cool working with Maguire and Garfield again. It was cool seeing having us all stand for the first time.
Dude, I might pass out. I might pass out during.
So that was the end credits and Brian's reaction to.
Oh man, I'm
Venom.
not kidding you. Because that was the thing is, all I remember was, I remember I can play that entire sequence in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know that, I know it.
Yeah, I know. I saw you. You were like smiling and just like kind of like looking
Sweating.
a little bit off the distance,
Hyperventilating.
sweating. Yeah,
So-
he was just like.
Because I tried my hardest to stay like alive, like throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
So everyone was, and I'm,
Yeah.
that's all I did. And I don't think I was breathing at one point.
No, I got worried. I was like, is he even alive right now? His soul was just like.
And then SpongeBob me where I'm just going out like this. Because that's the thing is that oh man, as like a Spider-Man fan, to finally get that again.
Mm-hmm. To have that great comic book moment, just kind of like.
Greatest moments of my life.
Yeah. While in the theaters.
Someone should just bring a camera.
I know. I should have recorded you knowing that we had an end credit scene, but like not knowing what it was gonna be. I should just recorded you in that theater, just like you. I should have done that.
Yeah.
I think we should do that for Spider-Man: No Way Home.
Yeah, you
Some
like us
part.
recording like
Just
no, that ruins the experience for you because you're gonna be watching the whole thing too.
Yeah, that's true, but
Can we ask for security footage right there?
Can we get this? Can we get the camera footage in theater 2?
There was a murder.
Row G.
This time the showtime.
Yeah.
We just witnessed a murder. One of our friends died for not breathing.
For not breathing.
So what did the end credit means? Or
Basically, they're
the end
connecting.
credit scene mean?
Yeah, basically they are connecting Venom with No Way Home.
Wait, I have a question.
Why wait?
I
There's
have
no
a
wait.
question. I have a question.
What's your question, Andy?
My question is, okay, because you know how the room transformed and they were
Yes.
somewhere else. Are they now in? They are
in the
they are
MCU.
in that. Oh, that is
What do
so
you mean?
cool. I'm sorry.
Oh,
It's just so
I
cool.
didn't know that. What do you mean you didn't know?
No, I did know. I just
What did
wanted
Tom Holland mean?
to-
We're just gonna put him in there?
Tom Holland's just being a dick.
I don't know. I guess when that happened, there was like a lot of questions in my head. I'm like, okay, well now they're here.
So
now
where do we
what?
go from here? Like, are they in the Are they in the MCU now?
Yes.
Is Venom gonna meet Tom Holland?
Yes. Yes. No, this is not a question.
Isn't that cool? I know.
No. Like you don't offer me dessert and say like maybe next time.
You see this great homemade key lime pie right here? Yeah, not until next time.
If you eat your veggies, we'll give you the dessert.
give you the
I just
dessert.
ate my veggies. I watched this movie, Mom. Okay, I watched it.
I want my
I
dessert.
did my homework. Dessert's coming in December. Bitch, better you tasting good. 'Cause I ain't gonna
Mwah,
wait.
chef's kisses.
Oh my god, man. So what does it mean? So we know it connects to the MCU.
Yes, it
You want to
is now-
speculate? Should we speculate? Should we build up hype for this?
No, let's talk about Squid Game.
No!
Can I say I was kind of really hoping. I was really hoping that when the whole shaking thing was happening, I was like, please show him like Tobey Maguire like just doing this, like dancing
when he has the symbiote. Yeah,
That would've been kinda
that would
cool.
have been
cool.
funny. Or just seeing like that version of Venom.
Yeah, that would have been really cool. I would. That was my like my little prediction. Before. I think I told you.
Well, they
What-
did that with the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Because in the Spider-Verse, remember he goes at like different.
And I did this. He's all like,
Oh yeah.
we didn't really talk about this.
We
He's all
don't
like,
talk
Yeah,
about that.
they did that. So they kind of connected a couple things here and
but it
there.
would've been
how
cool.
how funny would it be if we see Tom Hardy's Venom meet Topher Grace's Venom?
It could be a possibility.
That could be a possibility.
Like, okay, let's go.
Oh my god.
Keep it
That's
up
like
with
the
the nerd types
one-
up the new
that-
Spider-Man
that's
movie. Let's
like-
go, homies.
And then like they just see each other, and then like Tom Hardy's Venom's just like.
And then they're like,
Who's this
pointing
guy?
at
Like,
each
why does he
other.
look like that?
Insert Spider-Man meme where they're pointing at
All
each
the
other.
They
Venom.
did that in the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they did.
They did that with 2099.
Yeah, but IRL though.
The You're just doing this. It's you.
It's you.
Who are you? Are you me? That'd be great.
That'd be fun.
But okay, so it's Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah.
So in this movie, you mentioned something that I don't want to believe.
Me?
I don't. Because it's too good to be true, and it's also too good for it to be such a short little part of this movie.
Uh-huh.
You said, what if the black and gold suit isn't a black and gold suit?
Yeah.
What if it's a black and white suit?
Yeah. What, or if it's like they're just rendering it differently, because they've done that notoriously for.
I've said it before.
Yeah.
90% of every MCU trailer is real.
Mm-hmm.
The other 10% is edited to make it, to hide things.
Yeah.
So it's true.
Because they did that for Spider-Man Far From Home, where he's wearing the normal homecoming suit, but then in the movie he's wearing the Iron Spider suit.
I'm just catching my breath.
But I don't know, because they're also marketing the black and gold suit in general. Maybe that's what it looks like when he has the symbiote on him. It's a black and gold suit.
I don't think he merges with the symbiote in this movie.
I
don't
that's a
want to
missed
believe
opportunity. That's another missed opportunity if they don't do that.
So,
Because Spider-Man, in certain storylines, to take on certain villains, Spider-Man has always used this symbiote suit, the Venom suit, once in a while in story arcs to help him get stronger, because it doubles his powers.
it does.
Yeah.
So, let's look at this from like a production perspective. Tom Holland is still technically contracted by Marvel for another 2 movies.
Yes.
Right? With this solo movie and then
Doctor
Multiverse of Madness.
Yes.
Right?
And then an Avengers movie. I think he's supposed to do an Avengers movie, essentially.
So what makes us believe that maybe there's a possibility?
But we also forgot that they're doing the whole lawsuit to get more rights, to get the rights longer for those characters. Spider-Man is one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my thought is this. I don't think that Venom goes back to his original universe. I think this is a
think so?
merging of
Wait,
these universes.
Wait, but wouldn't you think that Eddie wants to go back to his universe?
How can you?
Well, something broke.
In Venom 2, they wrote off his love life. He's now accepted that he won't be with her, and she is living her own life. He's not accepted that. And the
they're
police,
on the run.
yeah, they're on the run now. So why go back?
Oh, that's true.
There's nothing left for him to go back.
Mm-hmm.
So that story is over. Technically, he could.
He could.
But they could Miles Morales or, Spider-Gwen this and basically say, like, my universe sucks. I'm just going to stay in the mainline MCU universe. Mm-hmm. That's all they ever do. Like, Miles Morales, they basically
Wouldn't there
killed...
be another version of him there, too, though?
There could be. We don't know that.
Yeah, exactly.
Or for all
So-
we know, there isn't.
This is just as bad as time travel.
Yes.
Multiverse.
Yes, but also
It's
no.
more complicated.
Time travel is lazy writing. And lazy writing in comic books.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you kind of get rid of certain things. Like, okay, we this is something that we mentioned in previous issues. They did something when Marvel had way too many universes, to deal with. They essentially did Original Sin, and then they did Secret Wars. And Secret Wars was God Doom. Essentially, they merged every universe and made it into one, which
Isn't
was
that what
Battle
it's
World.
alluding to?
Huh?
Everybody's been saying that this may be going to Secret Wars.
It will be going into Secret Wars, but most people are assuming that Secret War, because there's 2. There's Secret War, and then there's Secret Wars.
Oh my God.
Secret War...
Secret War was just a collection of all the superheroes fighting off a threat at a planet for the sake of the universe.
Mhm.
Oh.
And that was after Civil War.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's how
then-
Spider-Man got the black suit and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Oh.
Then Secret Wars is after Original Sin, when they kill off that universe's Watcher.
Oh.
And they lead off by basically destroying every universe in existence and creating one world, which was called Battle World. And that lasted a couple issues.
Yes.
And so what ended up happening was Marvel kept certain characters that existed in certain universes and brought them into the main 616 universe, right? Is it 616?
Yes.
Yeah, it is 616. So they brought them all into there. So Miles Morales technically isn't in 616. He belongs in the Ultimates universe. But there's really nothing there left. So how could you mix together, Miles Morales, who already lost his Spider-Man in his universe, and, still have him trained or become a Spider-Man? You bring him into the 616 with an existing Spider-Man. And Spider-Gwen did the same thing. She lost pretty much everything in her universe, so they brought her into this one. And now she exists alongside Spider-Man. So now in, the main 616 universe that exists now, you have a bunch of them. Spider-Man, Silk, Spider-Woman, Spider-Gwen, Miles Morales. Ben Reilly's coming back, I think. So there's all these different characters. So I have a feeling that what this is alluding to is they're trying to simplify everything. There's no reason for Venom to exist in kind of his own thing. They're probably going to be merging all the universes and keeping him there for a while. And Tom Holland and Tom Hardy are going to be working together in a movie. They're probably going to have a movie together.
Double Tom,
yeah. Because it doesn't make any sense for them to kind of just present this and then only use them for like 10 minutes of footage in the Far From Home movie.
Yeah.
It's such a waste.
It is. There has to be a meaning.
Yeah, because consider this. You have Doc Ock. You have Sandman. You have Electro. And we're assuming that the Lizard's in this one.
Yeah.
Okay, you have Doctor Strange. You have all these different characters. And now Venom.
Oh, yeah.
Right? How many people are you going to be including in this movie that's probably going to be no longer than 2 hours?
No, it's going to be almost 3 hours.
Ooh.
They confirmed that.
That's a risk.
It's a 2 hour and like 40 something minutes.
That's
I
a
think.
risk.
Or 2 hour and 30 minutes, I think.
Yeah,
same thing with Internals. Internals is like 2 hours and 30.
Oh God, and that's going to be a big movie to watch.
Yeah,
because
they're setting up a
Marvel
lot with
movies
that one.
did we get this year? Like 5?
No, we got series on Disney Plus.
And series? Well, because we got Black Widow. We got
Shang-Chi. That's 2.
Shang-Chi.
They only got 2. Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi.
Is it Shang or Shang?
It's Shang.
Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
Or
Shang-Chi.
Shang. No,
It's Shang-Chi.
it's Shang-Chi is the correct dialect.
Yeah, because that's why he
I
called himself
see.
Sean.
Sean, yeah.
Yeah.
We emphasize on the A, so we say
Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi. But the correct term in the correct dialect is
I did not know.
Shang-Chi. Yeah.
Okay, Shang-Chi.
We have to be very
And then...
good about that.
well, then...
Have to be careful.
Well, then,
Yeah.
And then there's Eternals.
Eternals is coming out.
And then
Spider-Man.
that's 5.
Yeah.
And then plus all the series.
Yeah.
We got.
Marvel's been... Kevin Feige's been
And
just
then
kind of busy.
we're getting Hawkeye at the end of the year, too.
Oh, that's right.
Yep.
That's a lot of Marvel.
Oh yeah, that's because that's a Christmas show now because it's
Kevin Feige. He's
Yeah.
been... He literally was like,
Rack
guys,
up
we
that
got to make up for
money."
2020. But I have a feeling that there's going to be more to this. I hope there is.
Oh yeah, so No Way Home is 150 minutes long.
Woo!
So that's 2 hours and 10 minutes. No. No. Yeah, that's a 2 hour and 30 minute movie.
Yeah.
Dang. Then Internals, let me see. Hold on. Go ahead.
There's just no way. There's no way. And it sucked if they brought him in there for 10 minutes and then take him out again to back to his own universe. Because
They might
again,
play a
now you have
small
Toxin.
role.
Toxin is a symbiote that might be coming up. So if you want a Venom 3, we got to deal with Toxin, right? But it would be interesting for Venom to associate himself with Spider-Man, merge a little bit, give him the crest, and have him learn the ways of Spider and stuff like that. It'd be interesting. There's a lot to assume. I feel like this end credit did way more.
Oh, so then
It boosted the anticipation for Far From Home.
Internals
Oh, yeah.
will be 6 minutes longer than Spider-Man. So it's 2 hours and 36
I'm saying,
minutes.
man, Eternals could suffer because no one knows what the Eternals are.
That's the thing. Because Shang-Chi was less than 2 hours. It was like
Yeah.
an hour and 40 minute movie.
Mhm. And it was fun.
It was
that
fun.
movie was fun.
Yeah.
I love that movie. That one I'd watch
Yeah.
again.
I think
That
because
one
of
I'd watch again.
the big casts, the big cast that they have in that.
In Eternals.
In Eternals, there's so
Everyone
many
needs screen time.
characters. Yeah, they
Everyone needs screen time.
Yeah,
But the thing is, like I said, if we're going to assume like what's going to happen, Eternals, real quick on Eternals, my thought on it is Eternals is there as a, storytelling movie.
Yeah.
How can we set up the rest of this MCU going forward? It's going to either be really good, really entertaining, very heavy, lore heavy, or it's going to suffer from its long run time, and not be entertaining to watch. It'll just be like a
We'll
bore
see.
fest kind of thing, which sucks because the director is, she does some really good work.
I mean, I haven't really been disappointed from any of the MCU movies.
You want to take that back?
Wait, which one?
Thor? The
No, but
Dark
you
World?
can
Okay,
you can still watch
after-
that.
What, phase 3, 4? When did Ragnarok?
Oh, that's phase 3.
That's okay. after Phase 3.
I have not seen Thor: Dark World.
Really?
After I've only seen it once.
Oh,
Yeah.
so that's what I'm saying. Thor: The Dark World is the weakest movie, but
Yeah.
it's honestly not the worst. They have
the
yet
worst?
to put no. That's the thing. They haven't. It's still a low tier on there, but
Yeah.
it's not the worst Marvel Studios movie.
So what's the worst one?
There is no one. That's what I'm saying. There isn't a Marvel because all of them.
That's a cowardly way out of that situation.
because you can still rewatch a Marvel Studios movie no matter what. You can still rewatch Ant-Man and Wasp. You can still watch Ant-Man, rewatch that. Thor: The Dark World is no exception to that. You know,
You'd watch it?
I've rewatched it.
I haven't.
It's not
either.
great. I will say that it's not great, but if you can still sit there and rewatch it and still not get angry over it, then it's not the worst movie.
Okay, that's fair. That's
Yeah.
fair. That's fair.
I think the only one that I haven't rewatched is Captain Marvel.
Oh, same.
Yep. No.
But even then.
All right, that's it. You know what? Captain Marvel. That's it. That's the worst one.
That's why I'm not
I
even
take it
saying
back.
Captain Marvel.
Thor:
Captain
Dark
Marvel
World is not the worst.
The thing is that Captain Marvel is. I don't want to say it's the worst movie.
No, it's the worst one.
But I have my.
I'm not afraid. What's Brie
qualms
Larson
with
going
it.
to do? What's Brie Larson going to
She's
do?
gonna come out.
Attack me?
Just-
Was that an attack on me? Yes, it was.
Oh my God.
Well, you're a male. You're not supposed to like the movie. That's what she'll say. That.
Give me the Marvels, please. That had so much
I
better
know.
cast.
Oh my god, I'm so excited for that movie because it has Monica Rambeau coming back.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome.
Yes.
So, to kind of wrap this up, because
Yes.
we're going to be hitting an hour 20-ish, and, we still got Squid Games to talk about. We excited for the future of Venom?
I am. Because
As the casual in this room?
Yeah, it's great.
If there's,
It's all right, yeah.
It's all right. But I would, if there was another one coming out, I would watch it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair. And are you excited for Far From Home now?
Oh, heck yeah. And the only reason why is just to see your reaction. I kind of want to record little moments and then create a TikTok of you just progressively reacting to the movie.
The entire time.
And then zoom in into your hands because sometimes you'll grip the seat a little hard when you're a little excited. And then when you're like this, when you're crossing your arms and then you have like that pensive look like, yeah, like
We should. What we should do is that we go inside the theater and then we strap a GoPro just to your face.
Ooh, yeah.
And we just have your reaction to Spider-Man No Way Home, and you're just like, oh, oh my god!
Yeah.
And then at the end,
That's not me at the end.
Yes, babe,
That's not going to be me at the
it
end. Me at the end. We already said what I was going to do at the end. I'm dead.
Must we remember when was it? Avengers?
At Endgame.
No, not Endgame.
Infinity War?
Infinity War.
oh, right, did you
Wait,
tear up when
wait.
everyone was?
When Spider-Man dies?
Yes.
Yeah, that was sad.
That was sad, my
he
boy.
was
Yeah.
bawling. I was like, okay,
I don't want to go,
he'll come
sir.
back.
No, I don't-
I'm actually
wanna
going to
go.
cry. I don't
wanna
want to. No,
go.
can we not
Please, I
talk
don't wanna
about that? I'm actually sad. I'm actually sad now. I don't want to relive
Mr.
that.
Stark.
Stop!
I'm not feeling.
Stop.
I don't feel too good.
I don't want to go.
Please. sir.
No,
I don't want to
okay,
go.
okay,
Please, I don't want to go.
No, I'm sad. Stop. I'm actually sad.
Well, on that note, what makes it even sadder is Squid Games.
You're not even going to mention what you thought about Venom? Are you
No.
excited for Venom?
Oh.
Are you excited for Venom? Are you or not?
It was
I'm
good.
sad.
It was good. I liked it. Thumbs up.
Well, I'm sad. Am I excited for Venom? The future Venom? Yeah, I'm excited. I'm pretty excited.
You know what you just did? You just pulled a Nick.
I didn't mean to.
You broke his spirit down, just like Nick would.
Oh, let's build it back up again.
Now I got that image in my
God.
mind. And I'm remembering when I first watched it, and I'm just like, dude, you don't do that, man. I cried when in Homecoming when he was underneath the building.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, I can't do it. I can't do it.
Somebody help! Somebody help!
I was, oh man, that scene hurts. So shut up. I don't want to talk about it.
Okay.
God,
You're the
damn
one
it,
that
man.
brought it up.
Oh, dude, I don't even want to talk anymore.
Oh no! But remember that end credit scene that we just saw today. Are you?
I should try to bring you back. Yeah, when Venom licks the screen and sees Tom Holland.
Dude, that was me.
That was him. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm excited for the future Venom. Now I'm even more excited for Far From Home.
No Home.
No Way Home.
Yeah.
There's so many homes. I can't even remember them all.
Homecoming.
Far From Home. No Way Home.
No Way Home.
It's just it's so much. This is doing a good job because I feel like people that are not going to go watch this movie because they just weren't interested are missing out on something that's going to excite them for.
That's the whole thing. And
No Way Home.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing overall. My final thought on Venom is that the reason why we love this movie so much now is because of the after credit scene. That's the thing.
Yeah,
I mean
let's be real.
if you took that out,
thing.
if you took that out, the movie would be okay. You'd be like, it was an okay film. But now that I guess Sony and Marvel have reached some sort of conjoint thing where it's like, yeah, we'll do it. Like now we're getting Venom in the MCU.
I was like at a 6 the entire time.
I know
And
because
as soon
as Carnage died, as soon as Carnage died, it went from like maybe I'm thinking like a 7 for you or an 8, and then when Carnage died, you're like 6.
6 End credit.
100%. So that's Bryan's thoughts on Venom.
I can't wait.
He can't wait.
Oh man, that's man. It's a shame for those that are going to be missing out on this movie. It's a good movie. It's fun.
Yeah.
End credit.
It's a fun movie.
Awesome. They didn't play any games with me. Just like Squid Game.
Just like Squid Game.
Yeah. And I know you know.
I've heard about Squid Game.
Oh, you haven't watched? Oh, that's right.
No,
you told me.
can't.
You told me.
Could.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got a couple minutes to talk about it.
Yeah, let's just wrap it up because I feel like everyone's talked about it, but it's just because it's the trend. It's the show that's trending now.
It is. And funny. Yeah. Okay. So I will say this. It's hard for me to watch foreign films because you have to go through the subtitles and sometimes the directing and the way that the movies are filmed outside of the US or outside of Hollywood, it just doesn't match the same energy that we're used to.
So there are a few like movies or shows that I would watch subbed because I'm a dubbed guy. I don't care if the voice acting's not bad. I read a lot already, so I don't want to read.
I just don't want to deal with it.
I just don't want to deal with it when I'm watching a movie, especially a new movie if I'm watching or a new show. But the one movie that I have watched in its original version or language is Parasite, which is another Korean film.
It's directed by the same director that did Train to Busan, right?
Yeah, I believe so, yes.
Or no, can you look that up? Look that up.
I think it's Old Boy. I think it might be Old Boy.
I think you're right.
Hold on.
I think.
But I've also watched Train to Busan in its original.
Train to Busan's
language.
Heavy.
Yeah.
That's also a movie I wouldn't recommend.
That's that's the thing.
So don't watch Korean.
So
movies
the thing
that are
is,
very heavy.
yeah. So here's the beauty about international films. Every country that has the ability to make a movie will have their own ideology that goes into them. So Hollywood is very straight up on the fact that action sells. There's certain things. Sex sells, action sells.
Oh, sorry. He's directed
What's
the
his
host is Bong Joon-ho.
Yeah.
He's directed Snowpiercer with Chris Evans.
The movie.
The movie.
Yeah.
The Host, which is about like that tentacle thing that goes through Korea. Akja. And I think those are his big hitter ones.
Not Train to Busan.
No, that was not him.
Oh.
Who directed Train to Busan?
Let me see. Let me check that really quick.
And Parasite. He also directed.
He did Parasite. Yeah.
I think Okja isn't that one's on Netflix, right?
Yeah, it is. Both those Parasite is on Hulu. It should still be there. And then the other one you're talking about, I'm not going to even bother mentioning it. That one is on Netflix. But going back to that whole thing is that you bring certain ideologies from those countries into those films. So by not watching them, you're missing out on how film is created outside of the U.S. Granted, it's fine. If you consume only U.S. movies, it's perfectly fine. Someone who loves film, mainly just consume the things that are here.
So Train to Busan director was Yeon Sang-ho.
South Korean director as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Another South Korean director.
Yeah. So for me, it's great to see the hype behind Squid Game because we're kind of expanding the library of directors coming from South Korea.
Yeah.
And South Korea has been, picking up their game in terms of filming, their TV series and their movies. They're actually like doing really well to the point that it looks like it was made here in Hollywood.
Yes.
I don't know if it was actually filmed here.
No, it was filmed in Korea, South Korea.
Squid Game, right?
It's just distributed. Yeah, it's just distributed through Netflix.
Yeah.
And actually, South Korea is actually putting a lawsuit against Netflix
Yeah, I
because
heard
it's
about
getting
that.
so much hype that they want some sort of return because they made the series.
I thought they were suing the internet provider. Yeah.
Yes. Well, no, because none of the internet providers are, I guess,
They
for the
can't handle the
usage.
bandwidth, yeah.
They can't handle it because it's become a
Which is
sensation
so
of 2021.
weird. That's such a weird thing
Then
to do.
how does that work if they put it in? I'm sure there was some type of agreement.
So here's the
right?
thing. We're pretty blessed to live in a city that allows us to like not have limitations on how much we download using our internet. Like we pay a certain amount to a certain internet provider,
Yeah.
and we could use our internet as freely as we want.
We just pay for to basically keep having internet.
Yeah.
But there's certain places in the U.S. still, and in other countries where you would pay a certain amount for the internet, and you're only limited to a certain amount of download. A certain
Kind of like how data is on your phone.
Exactly. So like, what we have, our provider, we have 5G for I think like 20 gigs of download. We have 20 gigs of download data. And then afterwards we drop down to 3G.
Oh, okay.
That's why they always tell you like use it, but don't use it excessively because your
Use
speed
it,
can actually
don't
drop.
abuse it.
Exactly. Don't use it excessively, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what South Korea is doing. They might. Well, I don't know how that works out there, but they've been watching Squid Games a lot. That South Korea is now trying to, or the internet providers over there, are kind of saying like, well, you guys are stretching out your bandwidth too much. We want some return from this because this is way too much. People are downloading way too much data over there. So that's the funny thing. It's such a sad thing because I feel like people should be able to watch a movie that came from their country and are loving it globally.
Definitely.
It's a good way of advertising the talent that's out there.
Yes.
Especially in South Korea.
I think though the thing is that we've seen as in America we've loved the media from South Korea. Their movies have been great, shows have been great as well too. But now Squid Game has become a worldly trending thing, a phenomenon almost for 2021. That's the show everyone's watching.
Yeah.
It's on par to like basically Stranger Things now. No, as of reaching to a big demographic.
yeah.
That's the thing. It's reached to everyone now.
Yeah.
Like everyone's watching Squid Game.
So for me, okay, because you've seen some of the Saw movies. You can't handle it, but you've seen like one, right?
I've seen like one and
That's it.
10 minutes of the fifth one.
And you can't handle it.
No, I ran out of the movie theater. It was
She
like,
can't handle gore.
I started
That's it.
crying. Yeah.
Yeah. So Squid Game, I feel like comparing it to some of the Western movies over here is kind of doing a crime to it. Because, yeah, you could compare it. It is kind of Saw-esque. It is kind of Hunger Game-esque.
I don't see it as Saw. It's funny how when people say it's Saw, I don't. I see it more of Hunger Games meets Battle Royale, that Japanese movie.
Yeah.
About
Alice in Borderlands or something like that?
No, it's basically when it's a bunch of
that's
high school.
Korean.
Yeah, it's
That's
a
Korean film,
It's a
never mind.
bunch of high school kids that get put on an island and they have to kill each other.
Oh, okay.
Battle Royale, and basically it's that mixed with maybe Hunger Games, but with an adults.
So the reason I say Saw is because it still has that theme, that ideology of like, these people are in debt.
Oh, okay.
And so, they're trying to teach them, or they're trying to have them compete for money to pay off their debt at the cost of their own lives. Like,
Which it's interesting that that's what the front man tries to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you really peel back the layers of the games, it's just for show.
Exactly.
For these rich people that just are tired of.
There's more to it.
Yeah, there's more to it.
Yeah.
And it's really cool because obviously, that's a cliche.
Yeah.
Essentially, when you're doing something like that, when you're doing people put against each other for a big reward at the end of it for surviving and stuff like that. But I liked how they did it in the show. Especially the whole everyone they're wearing these masks, everyone's equal, You know, there's not one person, no matter who you are, you know, to the contestants, you're just the same person.
Yeah.
You know, and that way they don't build a connection with you and stuff like that. They don't, you know, find you, you know, oh, I can persuade this person to do. No, it's like, no, we try to basically hide our identity.
Yeah. The idea of equality is echoed a lot in this series. So I was enticed to watch it, not because a lot of people were talking about it, but the hype that went around it. I wanted to see if there was more to it.
Same here. That's why I honestly watched it, because Mandy watched it before I did. She watched it and she was just kind of like, you know, talking about it, and I think I was watching a movie at the time. She burned through it in, I guess, 2 days.
3 for me, 3 or 4. Yeah, they're hour-long episodes, and it's 9 episodes.
I took my time. It took me like 3 or 4 days to watch it because I was trying to take my time with it.
Yeah.
There was one episode in particular that made me so mad, was the tug of war episode, and then it ends abruptly.
Oh, I was watching that before I had to go to my late shift at work, and it literally, so that in that sequence, I mean, you're not gonna watch it, so I'll spoil it. So we're gonna spoil it to our listeners if you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
But in that sequence, basically, I think it's the third game.
It's the third. No, it's the second game.
No, it's the third. The second game was Honeycomb. It is the
was
third.
it? Oh, it's the third game.
It's
yes.
the third game. So they're basically split up into teams of 10, and they have to play tug of war, but they're on a tower. So when the losing team basically gets pulled all the way off the tower, they're left hanging for like 2 seconds.
I think they're it's like 100 feet or something.
It's high.
It's super high.
And so when they're dangling from that height, a guillotine basically slices off the rope, and they fall to their death. So
You see it?
Yeah. Well, you don't see the splat.
You don't see the splat, but you see the aftermath. You see like someone's head is collapsed in and stuff like that.
Yeah. So again, that's why let's not disturb her with the imagery, because there's some pretty messed up imagery. But the way that episode ends is the main cast of characters that, like, I guess the
main characters. Yeah, the main characters you're following essentially.
Yeah.
They are obviously in one team.
Yeah.
And they have to basically, you know, it's a mixture. Basically, let's just say that the other teams are mostly filled with men, very strong men, and then the main cast of teams, they have like 3 women and an old guy, and the rest are just men.
So they're at a disadvantage.
They're very at a disadvantage.
But there's an old man that the protagonist follows, or the protagonist basically keeps close.
Yeah, he keeps close because they build a relationship. Yeah.
So he tells them there is a way to win tug of war, and I'm like, oh my god, this could actually work.
It could actually work. Yeah.
Yeah, and he goes through this like storytelling process of him saying, you know, if you stand your ground for the first 10 seconds by keeping your feet forward and leaning back
as hard as you can,
keeping the rope underneath your armpit, you'll tire the opponent out to the point that they're going to make a mistake. And when you see that mistake, then you start your attack. And
then
so
you
that's
pull,
what it says.
you pull back.
So they start doing it, and it works. And you as a viewer are like, holy crap, this is awesome. It's going to work. They're like, I can't believe it. It's going to be great. And all these different things. And then all of a sudden, the opposing team, as they're about to fall, get a second win. So now the protagonist team is losing.
Yeah.
And they're moving forward and forward and
closer
forward.
to the edge, yeah.
And all of a sudden, the episode just ends.
Yeah.
With them about to fall.
Well, it ends with basically they say the second guy, not the main character, but his friend says, I have an idea. Right. When on my signal, take 3 steps forward. And one of them goes, wait a minute. No, we can't do that. We're so close to the edge. He goes, just trust me. Take 3 steps forward, and then we'll pull back. And then as soon as he says 1, 2, 3, they step forward, and it ends.
Oh,
and so I sat on the bed. I was sitting in the bed. I was like, no, I can't do this.
Yeah.
You're like, now I can't sleep. Now to go and watch the next
So I was like, F that. I'm going to watch the opening and just go to bed after that. Because it's like 12 a.m. And I was like, and I told him, and I have Mandy on the phone, and she's like listening to my reaction. I was like, no, I'm going to watch the first 5 minutes or just to see how it ends, how this game ends. And then after that, I'm cutting it and going to bed. And so I did. I watched like the first like 3 or 2 minutes, and then it shows the results of that. And I was like, okay, cool. All right, going to bed. I'm like, screw that. Yeah, I'm not going to sit all night wondering like, I wonder if they win or not. What happened?
So we're not going to talk about the way this series ends, because I feel like this is a type of series that needs to be experienced.
Yes.
And the reason I say that is because for me, what I've started to notice, because one of the other, I've seen Train to Busan.
Yes.
And then because of Train to Busan, I haven't seen Parasite. I feel like I need to watch
Parasite. So you can watch Parasite. There's no horror aspect of it. It's a really good movie.
Yeah, I want to see it and see if this is true, because here's what I understood from Train to Busan, and I watched another movie called #Alive. It's also a Netflix movie. Okay? I would recommend you watch #Alive. It's another zombie movie, but the thing is that
and you're not a zombie
I'm
type
not.
of guy.
So there's a reason why it attracted me. So it doesn't show a lot of gore. It's not. I mentioned it in our Halloween podcast last year. I recommended this movie. It's not super bloody. It's not gore fest like most American movies out here. When we tell about zombies, it's them eating and ripping the body apart, and you see like the intestines and all that. That's what they mainly focus on. #Alive focused a lot more on the characters and how they grow against one another and all these different things. There's even a sequence of events in there where the main character meets up with the neighbor across the building. They finally get together, and they make a run for the top of the building because that's where they can get, sanctuary. That's where they could probably, find a way out of it. When they get to the top, they get saved by someone who's also barricaded in there. And so he starts feeding them because he's got a surplus of food. And he's like, you know what? We're going to get help. It's on its way soon. But then they get drugged up, and they realize that the reason why they brought him in is because this guy's wife turned, and she's hungry.
Oh,
and so
no.
and so he starts to
it's like that What If episode.
Yeah. So
Vision.
So exactly. So he basically tries to sacrifice these two people, but he ends up dying at the hands of his wife who turned.
Wow.
And so the South Korean films I've been seeing have focused a lot on human morality,
I've
what
heard
it is.
that, yeah.
Parasite does that perfectly as well too.
Because Train to Busan also does that. It's a story of a father trying to get his daughter to safety during this entire overrun of zombies. And that movie ends with him sacrificing himself because he's turning. So he jumps off the train to kill himself to save his daughter.
Wow.
And Alive kind of does that as well. They end up almost dying, but they end up getting saved by the military once they find out that there's, two people alive in this building. But again, you're questioning what to do during this entire thing. Do you save your humanity? Do you still keep it during this time, or do you run the risk? There's multiple events in there. There's one where an old lady's basically, not an old lady, but a lady's kind of walking around the streets at night as it's being infested, and she's not aware of it. Does he open the door or even mention that he's there, running the risk of him being exposed to the zombies, or does he let her die? And he lets her die. She ends up getting eaten. So Squid Game is like that, because a lot of these characters end up questioning their morality in this. Do you give up your friendship, for example, to progress throughout the game? And we see that in one of these characters. Honeycomb does that perfectly. The business guy, the friend.
Yeah. So there's a game in Squid Game where it's the second game they play, right?
It's Honeycomb.
It's Honeycomb, and basically the premise of Honeycomb is that you're left with. The thing is, they don't know they're playing Honeycomb. They don't know what they're gonna play until the game starts.
Oh.
And then the main character's friend is just a businessman. Apparently, he's putting two and two together. He knows what it is, but he's not telling anyone.
Oh.
He knows, and he's about to tell his friend, the main character, what it is, but goes never mind. Yeah. Because Honeycomb, if you're not familiar with it in this game, they're given these sugar cookies, essentially, and they have to cut the shape out using a needle successfully. If it breaks, they get shot and they die.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Successfully cut out the shape. It's half drawn in, but you have to do the rest of it. And it's such it's like brittle. It's almost kind of like how what is it? Peanut brittle is. Yeah. Kind of like that aspect of
so
it.
There's four shapes: a triangle, a circle, a star, and an umbrella.
Yeah.
Their main character picks an umbrella, which is the worst shape to do.
Yeah.
But this business guy picks the triangle, which is the easiest. The Indian guy they meet picks the circle, and then the old man picks the star. So the star and the umbrella are the hardest ones to cut out because they're one of the first ones. And you see it throughout the game. They get shot like that immediately.
Whoa.
So it kind of gives you that aspect of you're focusing, rather than focusing on the violence. This movie is very violent. It's very gory. Yeah. It's very, there's a lot of graphic parts in it. But instead of focusing on the deaths, they make you focus on the idea of why these characters are doing these actions. So for me, a good series or TV, or a good series or a good movie is going to get you really attached to these characters. Every action that they do should have a reason for it.
Yeah.
And I feel like these characters develop that. Why is this character changing from this to that? Why are they all of a sudden motivated to do a certain action, right? You don't hate it. Like most horror movies here, that's why I don't watch horror. You end up questioning their actions, going like, well, that was stupid. Why didn't you do that? I didn't question most of their actions. I was like, oh, I understand why they're doing this. And then the conflict has a purpose as well, which is why I can't compare it to something like Saw or something like Hunger Games, because those movies, as good as they might be in concept, end up developing this aspect where they need to keep going with the story. And so it starts to fall apart as you keep writing these stories.
Yeah.
Saw ended up doing that. Like 8 or 9 movies later,
Yeah.
it just doesn't have the same.
That's the thing with this series. It's such a good, beginning to end. Well, not really the end, but the beginning to the end of the games. It's actually really satisfying. You get to see what happens and how it ends and how the characters move on and stuff like that after that.
Yeah.
But there's this last part in the show that ends in a way where it's like, oh, there could be a second season. And to me, I felt that wasn't great because it kind of leaves it open to the point where it's like, well, now we're going to get the second season where it's kind of dragged out now, and the story's going to get convoluted. And we're going to get new characters, obviously, but then we have to follow these main characters, what happened to them and stuff like that. And I feel like the writers won't know what to do, essentially, and then it'll become basically how Hunger Games was. It's just like, yeah, we had a concept here, but then we're just trying to stretch it out.
Yeah.
Like it was grounded. Train to Busan does that because Train to Busan also has a sequel called Peninsula, which isn't directed by the same director.
No,
it's just produced by it, by him. But Train to Busan is grounded. As fake as it is, it's still grounded. It still carries its ideology throughout the entire movie and makes you understand why the movie ends the way it does. But then Peninsula doesn't, and Peninsula ends up being more of like this is kind of a movie for like fun.
Basically, it's like, oh yeah, all that stuff we did in the first one, we're going to just try and top that.
Yeah. You wanted explosions? There's one for you.
That's why I feel like that's going to be the exact same thing with Squid Games, where it's just like, oh yeah, all that stuff that people loved and tripped out on, we're just going to put that to another level.
Yeah. And Squid Game ends up being grounded. It is grounded throughout the entire, way up until like the last 2 minutes of the series. It's grounded throughout the whole way. Like the main character acts the way he does. He goes from being this kind of person. I'm not going to spoil it because, again, I want people to watch it. It's a good series. He ends up, and we'll talk more about it. I'll give you the more reasons if you want to know later on. But he ends up being, this type of person at the beginning. And in the middle, he mellows out and starts to develop in some sort of way. By the end of the series, he gets torn apart and then rebuilds himself up again. And then the last 2 minutes of the series,
he makes like a split decision
that doesn't fit his character.
That doesn't fit the character that they were building up since the beginning of episode 1. He makes a complete opposite decision where you're kind of like, why are you doing that then? Yeah.
Now, I will say there's a little bit of criticism in this, and I know we got to wrap it up because we're about to hit up minute 45. Or an hour 45, not a minute 45. South Korean acting is very visual.
Yeah.
Whereas like most Western movies here, it's the dialogue and like the way that it's the cinematography, the dialogue between characters, the exchange. It's not, this movement and stuff like that. Squid Game does a real good job at emphasizing the movement because this language uses a lot of visual, cues and stuff. So characters will be over dramatic, but it doesn't feel fake. It feels very natural. It feels very clean. It feels very good. There's a point in the series where they bring in English actors, because the rich people end up being from different countries and stuff. And that ends up falling apart. And because Rene and I were talking about this. You can't do a 1-to-1 translation with certain languages. We speak Spanish. Yeah. And we've talked about it. You can say a sentence in Spanish and it doesn't translate well in English. Because it falls apart. It's much more difficult when you do Korean to English or Japanese to English, one of my friends,
Frank. I think
Frank.
there's also a difference in how in different cultures people express themselves.
Exactly.
Very different.
So, one of my friends, Frank, he's a little bit fluent in Japanese. He explains that. He explained it to me. He's like, certain things in Japanese make sense in Japanese, but not in English. Just like in English, certain things will make sense here, but not in Japanese. It's the same thing here. And I think you were talking about it because you were watching this series in English.
I was watching the series in English, and then you can tell. And I said it because when I first watched Squid Games, I was watching it with the English dubbed, but only from the subtitles was set to the Korean translation to English. It wasn't the dubbed subtitles, it was the Korean subtitles, essentially. So the way that, in Korea, they say certain words differently and put words, it's kind of like it feels like it's almost like a broken English kind of way. And then, so like, that's why when you hear the American actors talk, they're talking kind of very over the top.
The English voice actor. Or the English.
Or like the English actors.
Yeah.
And the way that their lines are, again, it's very weird. It's very awkward. They're talking very kind of like, hammy in a way.
Okay.
And it's only because that's the way that the writers wrote.
Yeah.
It's a different dialect. They have a different tone when they say words and certain words and stuff like that. It's very cheesy almost in a way.
Okay.
So why did you bet on 69?
Yeah.
Oh, well, 69's a fun number.
Yeah.
That's how they were
That's
talking.
how they were talking.
And it was like, it threw me off. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's so.
And it sucks because it's not their fault. It's just the way that the lines were written.
Yeah. Again, this movie was made in Korea. It's meant for the Korean audiences. Just like other countries, when they look at Western films, they probably enjoy it for the action and stuff like that. But our customs are much more different than theirs, and they start to question it.
That makes sense.
Overall, I feel like we were talking to you, but we're explaining it to you, and I hope our audiences understand that by us talking to you about this, they also understand like what we think in terms of this series. I thoroughly enjoyed the series.
It was good. Yeah.
It was phenomenal. I think that this is great awareness. It brings great awareness to what South Korean films could be like.
Yeah.
They're developing their own studios and their own way of filmmaking, and that's good because you're bringing that kind of interest into foreign films. Who knows? Maybe the general casual audience will be more willing to watch foreign films or foreign movies, or not foreign movies, excuse me, foreign films or foreign series, and be understanding of why certain things are the way they are. We're just so used to Western films and ideologies. It's interesting to see what other countries can bring to film or series. So
yeah, definitely.
I definitely recommend it. And then, do you have any final thoughts?
No, I hope that if they ever do a second season, it's written well, it's played, because I don't think it's going to be good as the first one.
All right, let's be hopeful. Let's be hopeful. Better to have lower hopes.
Maybe we've just been traumatized by all of our stuff that we come out with, and then there's a sequel or whatever.
But
that's kind of
but Peninsula suffered from that.
Yeah,
because no one talks about Peninsula.
But
everyone talks about
you
Train to
said that
Busan.
it wasn't directed by the same director.
No, it wasn't.
So
but it's produced by it.
Well,
yeah,
that's true.
That's the only
so
thing.
we'll see what happens. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed Squid Games overall. It was really good. Really good story. Really kept me going because the way the episode ends, it was funny. After you watch episode 3, they just end a cliffhanger each time, every single time, and you're just like, wow, okay, I have to watch the next episode.
I love it when a series or a movie really makes me feel emotional, not like Spider-Man and stuff like that, but truly makes me feel something for certain characters. And the last episode, halfway through, the big fight between two characters, that was a very emotional fight. I got very uncomfortable and I started tearing up because I'm like, Jesus, this is
they both have a lot to
lose.
Live for and lose.
You're rooting for one and not rooting for the other, but then you see what the other is going through and how traumatic the events have been, that you understand why his character would be the way.
I kind of want to watch it.
It's
now.
very uncomfortable. That's the only thing. If you want to watch it, but it's very uncomfortable, and I think that you might. I know I've dreamt about it.
Really?
Yeah, I've had some dreams, and it's been very
I don't know.
I guess I'm wired differently. I'm just kind of I watched it and I was like, okay, cool. So
if you can, you can.
I mean, I think honestly, Andie, you should watch it. It's a really good story. And then it's just an interesting show. It's a different type of show you're watching as well too.
It's very funny when certain review sites, because IGN will very much recommend this.
Mm-hmm.
So the funny thing, I saw IGN's review on it. IGN will recommend a movie. It's like, this is a great movie. They'll say it, like, even if it's gory. This is the first time I've ever read a review from IGN where it's like, it's not for the faint of heart. And I'm like, oh, that's when it gets serious. Yeah.
Oh no.
It does get emotional, so you will get sad. You will. The main.
No.
You won't feel too disturbed. You'll legitly be depressed and sad.
I called
watching
it because I was watching it during one of my shifts. I was watching the.
Yeah.
Was it
the Marvel game after the Marvel game?
No, it was. I finished it.
Yeah.
And I called her afterwards, and she's like, "Why do you sound so tired and sad?" I'm like, "Cause I'm sad." Like it left me like that.
Yeah. It did sound sad.
With that said, I think we should wrap up this issue because we're gonna hit an hour 50, and
Yeah.
But thank you guys if you guys made it this far. There was a lot to talk about because Venom was huge, and we are super excited. We're also wired on caffeine.
I'm coming down from it, but yes, this got me through at least an hour and a half.
I'm on water.
You're hydrated.
I'm hydrated.
Reminder, guys, follow us on our socials, Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. Keeping Up with the Nerds, just search us up. We do updates, and we'll be posting some stuff up that's going to be coming out in October. So this month, when this podcast does come out, we'll be posting some stuff up that we're going to be working on. So keep your eyes up on that. Follow us on Spotify. Listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean. Follow us on there, and if you're on Apple Podcasts, leave a review. Let us know what you guys think about our show. We'd love to see what you guys think. We are also on YouTube. There's a visual representation of the podcast where you can see our beautiful faces, and you can finally see what Andie looks like. Because last time she was here, we didn't do the video portion.
We didn't do video, yeah.
So follow us on YouTube. We're at 71 subscribers.
Yeah.
We're almost to 100, guys. Let's do it. And we do have a website, keepingupwiththenerds.com. We're going to be updating that. It's going to get a full revamp soon. I know I've been saying that. I've just been too busy, but it's going to get a full revamp soon with November coming and the things we have planned. There's a lot to look forward there, so keep your eyes on that, guys. With that said, Rene, are you ready to end this? You have the line?
Yep.
All right, you know how to end this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you've listened to the show enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Week, every
It's
Wednesday.
going to be the last one, all right? Here we go. Ready? Hit it.
This has been Keeping Up with the Nerds, issue 67. I'm your host, Rene.
This is Bryan.
This is Andie.
Recording at Undercity Comics in Uptown Whittier. We want to thank you all for listening, and we'll see you all